Hello, it's me, I'm still alive! Well, hey guys. Hope you're all doing well. I'm pretty exhausted today, so... I am old, you're right. But you're also old now, so... Sucks to suck, I guess. Yeah, so we're gonna be playing some Risk of Rain today and just chilling and talking. I'm gonna complain about work a little bit, maybe talk about some other stuff, I don't know, who knows. Just you know, same old, same old. So yeah, let's get into it. Where is the screen? There it is. That's true, you'll never be as old as me. What a disappointing life you live. Okay, let me just reorganize my windows. Okay. We're good. Just... Oh, man. It's been a very long, like, last 2 weeks. Let's see. What's Akrid's loadout? I have all of his unlocked. I have all of the Huntress unlocked. I think we tried to do this last time and I failed. Let's see. Yeah, sure. Oh man, so yeah, this last 2 weeks has been so rough. My job's doing like this state regulation reporting stuff. It's awful. It's like whenever you have to work with legal, it's just, you know, it's gonna be absolutely no fun. And it's just gonna be a whole bunch of conversations where legal needs to answer questions. But because they're lawyers, they have been repeatedly taught to never give an answer, to always delay. And so trying to get any information out of them is like fucking fighting with a wall. And it's so shit. It's just so shit. Okay, that's not what I expected. So like it's literally just been like 2 weeks of me arguing with our legal team, trying to be like, tell me what to put on the report and I will update the information as needed, and I'll add additional coding to make sure that it always populates properly based off of the criteria. Because I can't make the decision, they have to specifically tell me what it has to be. But they don't want to fucking tell me what it has to be. They just have to be, they just want to be like, well, this is wrong and it needs to be corrected. Okay. Well, like, I can't correct it and you're the one that's saying it's wrong, so you should be able to tell me what is correct, what is right, what should be there. And they're just like, I can only tell you it's wrong. And it's like literally pulling teeth. I hate it so much. And then, I don't know, they're half incompetent. So like, it's literally been me fighting with them about how regulations are written and worded and what they mean as far as legal requirements. And like, ugh. Yeah, right? It's just so frustrating sometimes, because like, I don't know. It's just like, it shouldn't be this hard. Like, it really shouldn't. Like, this is a report that we have to do yearly. Is one of the reports is done yearly, and the other report is done every quarter. So like, the regulations themselves don't actually change that much. The problem is that our legal team changes, and then their opinion on the definition of the regulation changes because they think differently than the previous person. And then we're stuck arguing this fucking battle about wording and how it's formatted and stuff. And like, I get it, it's legal shit, like I don't care. But they have to tell me the answers and I can't just like fix it. And I hate that. I hate the fact that I can't fix the problems. Oh, nice. It's the stream luck. I just have to wait for them to tell me what to do. And that waiting is frustrating. So, here's the real kicker, okay? So these same legal people, we refer to them as our compliance team to ensure that we're legally compliant. So it makes me so angry. So our compliance team reached out to me the last week of December, which, as you know, is when everyone's on fucking vacation. It's literally like holiday central. It's New Year's, it's Christmas, it's Kwanzaa, it's Hanukkah, it's all of those. No one fucking wants to work. No one's going to work. So like, they reach out to me, they send me a change request, and they're like, this is super, super urgent. We have to do this. This is really important that we get done before the beginning of the new year. And again, this is like the last week of December. So like, I don't have a lot of time to get it figured out before the new year. It's right around the corner. And guess what? Everyone's on fucking vacation. So it's like, normally the approvals go through a specific process. The process requires an agreement from all of the management team that yes, we want to move forward with this. The only time that that's not the case is when compliance is involved. And normally it's compliance says, this is what we have to legally do to not break the law. The managers look at it and they say, yeah, if compliance says that's what we should do, then we should do that. So, you know, it hits a little different just because of the fact that, like, the assumption is that compliance is always right, kind of. Our expectation is that they should have all the answers, in a way. And so if they're requesting something, we're supposed to put it in place. Okay, no problem. We can put this in place per compliance's request. I got that. We're good. So, I respond to the email chain. And I'm like, look, I understand this is a really high priority per compliance. Like, they want this in now. They want this in yesterday. And they are, like, really pushing us to do it. And so I'm going to put it in the environment, even though all of the fucking managers are on vacation and they're not able to, like, officially approve it. But, like, based off of our prior workflow and the urgency noted by the compliance team, it makes sense to go ahead and do it. Because even once management comes in, they're going to approve it because it's what compliance requested. Very fair, logical statements. Nothing like completely irrational or anything like that. It makes sense based off of our prior standards and workflows related to compliance requests. So I do what compliance asks. I get it in to start at the beginning of the year. It's a fresh year, it's a fresh start with this rule and this code. And so it only applies to loans starting at the beginning of the year. Great. Fantastic. January 26th rolls around. And I get a manager reach out to me being like, this thing is doing something weird that I don't think it should be doing. So I look at it and I'm immediately like, oh, this is related to that last minute request by compliance. Yeah, this is how they want it to function based off of their request. Well, this person's like, well, that's incorrect. And one of our investors is very mad about it. And so the thing is I'm like, okay, What do you want me to do about it? You got to go to compliance and get them to, you know, revert the change. Like, I only do what they tell me to do. It's not my job to decide that something's incorrect. It's their job to give me instructions and I complete the tasks. I don't have a legal background. I'm not a lawyer, so I cannot stand up and say I know better than them. That just wouldn't make sense. And so they're like, well, you have to fix it. And so we reach out to compliance, and compliance is like, yeah, we told them to do that. And they explain to compliance why it's wrong and it's breaking stuff. And this one investor is threatening to stop working with us. And compliance is like, oops, let's change it back then. Great, fantastic. It's not that fucking simple. So the specific thing that we had to change is like a signature date. I know it does sound wild to push it without management approval, but the thing is there was one manager there, and I spoke with them, and they did agree that it, based off of our prior workflow, it was fine. And then the thing is everyone was back from vacation on the 2nd, and so they all reviewed it at that time and confirmed they were good with the process. They were good that I made the decision and to move forward with it. So it wasn't just like me blindly making a plan and doing something. Like, afterwards, I got approval immediately. So it's, you know, there's no one that could be thrown under this bus in my team, because of we did follow procedure based off of the information provided. So the assumption is that it should be an easy change, but the problem is oh, damn, this streamer luck is crazy, bro. So it's a date, and the date populates on a print form. I wish Buskun could hit me and I'd be isekai'd into someone or not as shit. Come on, monsters, come out of here. So, the second we realized there was an issue, we looked at it, we confirmed that it was related to the changes made that were requested by compliance. Compliance confirmed that they still thought that that was the right thing to do and that they wanted to keep it in. Then they argued about it for like, I don't know, like 2 days, I think it was, before they finally agreed, oh, actually, you're right, it's fucking things. And they were like, let's revert it. So the problem is that what it does is it updates the signature date, and it auto-populates the signature date for one of our employees signing a document. And so once they sign it, the document is printed. Well, once it's printed, I can't do shit. I can only mess with it when it's in the system. So, like, if the doc hasn't been printed yet, it can easily be fixed. If the document's already been printed and signed, there's nothing I can do to fix the existing loans with the problem. They have to either be redone or sold to a different investor. Because that's the thing, is when we look into it, what the change that we made is still accurate and correct. The change that we made is legally in compliance and fits regulations. The problem is that we have one investor who, I guess previously we've had some issues with them before already with this information. And compliance knew about this, that they're very picky about this. So this is even more on compliance's fucking ass for this shit. But so they're very picky about how this date populates, and this investor believes that it has to populate a certain way. Legally, it is not required to populate that way. That's just their belief, their internal rules. So all of our other investors are fine. Nobody else has a problem. It's just this one investor is fucking livid that we made this change, and they are threatening to not do business with us because of it. And their reasoning is because I said so. Not like a legal standpoint. They're not like, oh, well, you know, if you read the regulation like this is what it means, you know? Nothing like that. They're just like, well, I don't like it. So, like, it's kind of fucking absurd. So, whatever. we didn't like realize it was an issue until the loans had already oh my god, English, already met the end of their lifespan to where they were being given to the investor. So like it's not at a point where we can like restart the loan or like we can redocument everything. It's kind of like way too late at that point. And so we didn't realize the issue until it was too late. It happens, you know. Well, like I said, it's just this one investor who's like picky. So we're not actually doing anything wrong. So no mistakes were actually made. And even if it wasn't just the investor, it still wasn't a mistake. Like, it was a request that was completed based off of legal telling us to do that. So like, you know, I stand by my decision and my path handling it. It's whatever. We decide how to move forward with it. We fix the existing loans that haven't had the doc sent out on them yet. We move through that whole process, get everything all squared away. It seems that everything's fine, you know? A little bit of time passes, and I get an email. I think it was on like, maybe like Tuesday. I get an email from like the CEO being like, I need a meeting right now, immediately, at this exact moment. You need to get in a meeting with me. I have no idea what it's about, so I'm like, sure, whatever. Get in the meeting, and she proceeds to fucking lose her goddamn mind. She basically is like, you guys fucked up, we're gonna lose this investor because of this, what were you thinking, like, why did you make this change, blah blah blah. All the managers are there, it's not just me. And so like, I am confused, because as I said, we already fixed the issue where we could. We knew which loans were affected, we knew the impact, we put in a change. We specifically put in a change so it would land starting on February 1st, so we would know that all January loans would be affected, and we could better update them in a batch update. So like, you know, it was fixed. Well, it seems that during that process nobody told her, which is fine, you know, like the CEO doesn't have to be privy to everything, especially when it's something that has already been resolved. But the problem is some fucking dumbass told the investment company that we were not going to fix the issue and that they just needed to suck it up, kind of thing. So the investment company was like, what the fuck? How dare you? We're gonna not do business with you if this is how you do things, like blah blah, you're such an asshole. Like, completely fucking lost their shit. So they reached out directly to the CEO and got on the phone with her and proceeded to immediately curse her the fuck out. And so she contacted us immediately because she was like, what the fuck is going on? Because she hadn't heard about it, and it came out of the blue, and now she's hearing that this is a major issue and this investor doesn't want to work with us and they're going to cut ties and they're one of our biggest investors and all this shit. And I'm still like confused because it's been resolved. So I don't understand. And then she starts like telling us that like if issues like this happen, like this is our fault, and that we need to better vet our tickets and our change requests, and that we shouldn't have put this in without thinking about the downstream impact. But like, we were putting this in place to fix an issue and prevent a downstream problem. So like, that was the whole point of it, is so that it would be in the system for the 2026 year, so that when we run the report for 2026, it's not fucked up like it is this year. But honestly, she was just angry. It was a weird situation. Like, they reached out to her out of the blue and then were like, this is fucked. We don't know who told them that we weren't going to fix it or why they said that. So like, we were also blindsided. We have no idea who did this, who caused this to explode in this way. And like, there's nothing I would have done differently. I followed the procedures the way I was taught to follow them, and I still don't think I made the incorrect decision. I still think that it's actually correct and we should be doing it the way we were doing it. I think the investor is incorrect, because it's the way I've done it at every other company I've worked at. It makes logical sense looking at it from, you know, a brain, like a smart like logical outlook. But it's just this one investor that disagrees with it. So like, I don't know, we have hundreds of investors. So I understand that this is a big investor, but why aren't we questioning them on the reason that it's such an issue? Instead of just being like, oh no, we're so sorry, let me suck your dick. You know, like, God. It doesn't make sense to me. And I've worked at a lot of companies, and all the other companies do it this way because that's how the regulation's written and it makes sense. So I don't know. I think it's some bullshit. I was mainly really frustrated because it's like they brought it up like it was a major issue I need to fix right now, and that like it's my fault, specifically my fault. And it's just shit, because like I look at the situation and I'm like, I don't know what she's expecting me to say. Because like I said, it's already been fixed. So it's not an issue anymore. It's one investor complaining about it, where we have tons of other ones with no problems. The management was all aware and agreed with the decision. Legal is the one who told me to make the change. So like, nothing within that process could have been done differently, in my opinion. Like, even if the managers were there, I think that we would have still made the same decision, irregardless of, you know, anything else, because compliance requested it. And that's what we do. We follow legal's recommendations because, you know, I already told you I didn't push it without manager approval. It's kind of hard to explain because of our change request system, but so here's the process, okay? So somebody writes up the change request. It goes through, the managers get together, they talk about it, they decide if they think it's something that's too hard to do, that shouldn't be requested, or if it's something that they think probably could be done. At that point, it's sent to my team, where we review it and we say yes or no, it's possible. Once we confirm it's possible and like how much work it'll take, then it is sent back to the management team, where they once again review it based off of our comments and decide whether they want to proceed with the changes or if they think it's more trouble than it's worth. So it was in that stage. Proceed or, you know, don't. So they had already approved the concept of it. They just wanted to know the difficulty of implementing it and then go through the approval process. And there was one manager available and the compliance manager. So the compliance manager is the one who was like, this has to be done right now. You cannot wait. So if anyone's at fault, I think it's the compliance manager for saying that this is super urgent and then, you know, waiting till the last minute to do it. Because it wasn't urgent. Like, it was never referenced as being urgent until the last second. Because the other thing is when we get these change requests, they have like an expectant due date on them to basically say if this is a high priority, it's needed immediately, or if this is something that can wait, blah, blah, blah. So, like, it did not have a rush order on it. It was only a rush when there was no one around to approve it, except for her and one other manager. And like I said, with compliance tickets, they normally just skate through and they don't actually get like a proper review, because the assumption is that the legal team should be the deciding factor in making a decision like this. They're the ones with the most knowledge on the regulations and how it's formatted. So, you know, I think that the fault lies on the fact that it wasn't put as a rush ticket, and it was left till last minute. However, I think that even if it wasn't the end of the year, even if it hadn't gotten stuck in that process, it would have been approved and it would have still caused problems. Because nobody expected it to cause that specific issue. They weren't looking for it to cause that issue. They didn't realize that that would be an issue, because it's not really an issue. That's part of the problem, is it's correct. The changes that we made are accurate and correct and legally sound. It's just that this one investor doesn't like how it's formatted. You know? So I don't know. I don't think that I did anything wrong. But I do still feel really guilty about it, because I feel bad, because I don't like things being blamed on me. I'm pretty good at taking ownership of things when I fuck it up, but like this one, I feel like I couldn't have done anything differently for it. But either way, it's mainly just frustrating because I don't like feeling helpless to resolve things. And because this issue had already been resolved, there was nothing I could do. I'm gonna proceed instead of going in the portal, so. There was nothing I could do. There was nothing I could do to fix it. There was nothing I could do to change the investors' opinions. My hands were tied. So it makes me feel really helpless and shitty. And that's like the part where I have a hard time, is feeling like I can't do anything to help or harm, you know? It's just stuck. So I don't know, that's just sort of shit and I hate it. And like, I don't know, then we spent the rest of the week like babysitting the legal team through their recommended changes, because we had to be like, are you sure that's what we should be doing for every change, per the CEO's request, which just, my job is to write code. My job isn't to babysit legal on their job. Like, I don't know why that would seem like something I should be doing. Like, my job literally entails completing the tasks provided to me by those teams. So it just doesn't make sense to me that I should be babysitting them. It just doesn't hit for me. So yeah, it's just been frustrating. Hello, sir. What are you doing back here? But yeah. Well, it's so stupid because I don't know why the investor's being so finicky about this thing. And like, I guess they've had issues with this exact thing with this investor in the past. So like, it should have been a thing that when they saw what the request was, they should have been like, oh wait, but this investor is really picky about that. You know, and then, I don't know. There's no way I would have known that it was a problem, because I don't work directly with the investors. And so I don't see their interactions and I don't know the history on them. But it's also not my job to like babysit that sort of criteria. So it's frustrating. I don't know. I'm very annoyed about it just because like I do feel really bad and feel like I did something wrong. Even though like realistically looking at it, there was nothing I could have done. But it sucks. And like my manager sided with me, and even the other managers were like, well, I agree with you. And it was just that the CEO was mad because she had found it out last minute. So like I also understand her perspective. I just hate that like the frustration was directed at me when I don't think that there was anything I could have done differently, because I was following the rules put in place by them. Like, I don't know. I guess I just have to get good, kid, you know? No, but honestly, like, fuck that investor. Like, they're being, like, a little bitch about it. And, like, them being, like, I'm gonna stop doing business with you. That's the thing that, like, really fucked us over. Where they're, like, mad now. Because they think it's all my fault that they're not gonna be doing business with us anymore. But, like... It seems like we already had a really negative, like, poor relationship with this investor in the first place. So who's the one who fucked that up? And, like, I don't know. You tell me we have a negative relationship with an investor, I'm gonna be looking for a backup to replace them as soon as possible. Like, I'm not gonna sit around and wait for them to decide that it's time to jump ship. Like, I'm gonna be prepared. I don't understand why you just sit there and be like, well, they hate us. But, you know, what's the worst that could happen? Obviously, they fucking leave. They fucking leave you hanging and you have no money left. Like, why would you question their standing and, like, how much power they have in this relationship? Like, it's more. It's more than you. They have the money. So I think that part, like, frustrates me because it seems like this has been an ongoing problem with them. But our company has just been ignoring it because they're like, yeah, but they give us money. And it's like, yeah, but for how long? For how long will they continue to give us money if they're being so picky and, like, petty about stuff? And, like, I think that they're being picky and petty to save money. So that they can be like, oh, well, you know, you really fucked us, so we should get a discount. Because, like, lots of times people do that shit. So... I think that they're just being dicks, but, you know, I don't know. I'm also not in, like, that business side. I'm in the back end. Oh yeah, we should stretch. Remember, stretching and being a living human is important. Oh my god, my back. I'm old. Ah, fuck. Yeah, but I don't know, like, it's not my job to decide the business standards and, like, our business decisions and approaches. It's my job to put... Fucker fell into the abyss. It's my job to put the code in place based off of how they ask me to. Like, that's it. I don't... I could tell them my opinions on it, which I do, but that's, like, as far as I go. I'm not gonna be like, I'm not gonna do this because I think it's dumb. Like, that's not my job to tell them it's dumb. If I don't pause during my stretch, you know I'm gonna get my ass handed to me. You're just trying to get me to die. Oopsies, I killed them all. Let's do bleed. I don't remember how growth works, so I hope that I'm growing. I hope that I'm watering my Sermit enough that it'll grow and I'll get my, my new loadout attack thing. I don't think my daughter's napped yet today, and I hear her downstairs just screaming at Dean. And I'm just glad that's not me, you know? Both the nap, the lacking of napping, and the having to hold a baby that's screaming. Like, both of those, I don't want that. But anyways, the whole investor thing got squared away. And the worst part, you wanna know what the worst fucking part is? Okay, so out of the loans that were impacted, it was something like 230 loans. The number of loans in that list that was associated with that specific investor was 3. 3 loans. And these are home loans. You're thinking they must be like hundreds of thousands of dollars. No, they were 3 like smaller like what do you call them? Like construction loans. So where they take out a smaller amount based off of like they want to use the money paid up from the house to pay a construction. I don't know how to explain it well. I don't do mortgage. I do code. So, but yeah, so there were these 3 like baby fucking loans, and this investor was like, nah, we're gonna stop working with you if this looks like this. And it's like, are you joking? Are you a fucking clown? Because it sure goddamn looks like it. So yeah, I'm not salty, but also fuck those guys. Like, fuck those guys. You could try calling her. Little Bean does like talking on the phone. She was talking to Grandma the other day, and she said, "Hi." It was very cute. She gets really excited when she sees my phone light up with Baba's face, and she's like very happy to talk to her. So it's pretty fucking adorable. But yeah, I don't know. Work is always hard. I feel like when I was trying to decide what to do for work, like what I wanted to do with my life, I had such a hard time because like I really love doing art. I like making games. I like doing nerd shit. But the idea of having to do something with like rules and confines, like an outline that I was required to follow is hard for me. Oh, Haynes, you haven't heard? So as a side thing, my daughter calls my mom Baba, which stands for Baba Yaga. So my mom is a witch with a chicken house that walks around. It's very cute. I think it's a really great name for my mom, and she loves it, so it makes her smile really big. I told her maybe I'll get a Baba Yaga tattoo. I think that'd be great. But anyways, yeah, when I was thinking about what I wanted to do with my life, I had a really hard time because, like, I like doing creative stuff, but I really don't like the idea of doing creative things based off of somebody else's rules. So, like, meeting requirements is the best way I can explain it. The idea that you are completing a task for a specific person and it has to be what they're asking for. It's kind of like the idea, if you're an artist, you have to make art that your client wants. You have to, you know, create things that are saleable. And like, I don't like that. I don't like the idea of viewing things that I put my effort and love into as some kind of expense, a commodity, something purchasable in a way. Because it's not like I don't want to sell them. It's the idea of like having to fit someone else's idea of something good. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. In my head, it makes like complete and utter sense. When I make things, I want to make them because I want to make them. I don't like having to make things because somebody else wants me to make them. Maybe that's a better way to explain it. I like the creative nature of it and the freedom associated with it. And I think once you make it a job, you lose the freedom associated with it because you have to adjust to meet standards to be able to make that a livable thing. A saleable item that gets you the money you need to survive. I think with programming, it's still hard, but it's a little bit easier for me because programming is much more, I guess I don't think of it in the artistic sense quite as much. I don't do game programming as a profession because I think that that would put those constraints around me for that artistic side of it. But I do I do think that, like, programming just generally code, like, apps doing stuff fits more in a realm of more like a meticulous type of work. It requires some ingenuity to be able to, like, figure out the best way to make things work. But you're following a rubric to some degree of, like, these are the items that I need to get done. It doesn't matter how I do them, at least as long as these things get completed. So, like, in my brain, that takes away the artistic nature of it. And makes it much more, like, I don't know, analytical? It's really hard to think of, like, a way to explain it well, but that was always something that I just really, really struggled with, because I didn't want to lose my love of artistic things, because it became strictly a soulless job for me. Like, I felt the need to have to separate it from work. But that's also hard, because then it takes away from, like, the love that I have for my job. Like, I'm not like, yeah, my job's so amazing, I love it so much. Because for me, it's work. Work is work, fun is fun. Like, they're separate things. I don't consider them to overlap in any way. Like, they just exist in their own little worlds. So, I don't know. It's just kind of a thing that I think about sometimes. What about you guys? Like, how do you think about it? Like, what do you want to do with your future? Do you look at it from a happiness standpoint of, I just want to always be doing this thing? Or do you look at it from sort of that separation of things that bring you joy versus your work? Because, like, I do find that I think it's hard to say, I want to do a job that makes me happy. Like, it's not as straightforward as I'd like it to be. Like, of course I'd love to do a job that makes me happy. Do I think that's possible? I really don't know anymore. Because I think that the only way I'd be happy is if I did a job for myself, where I was employed by myself, and it didn't rely on people's requests. Which is basically no job. There is no job like that I could do. I mean, yeah, it would be nice to be able to be happy with my job and feel like always like, I can do this. Amazing. But it's not that simple. So I don't know. Maybe one day things will get easier. But I also don't think that's possible, because, like, with the growth of AI and the idea of, like, computer advancements, I just feel like it's only down from here, baby. You know, it's just, it's one of those things. I need more money. Where are all the monsters hiding? Oh, I heard you. Fucking rude. Oops, missed. I don't know. I do hope that one day we all find happiness. Oh, hello. How are you? Welcome to the chat. We're just chilling and talking about how jobs suck. Oh, yeah, nice. I just want to go in the bottom tunnel, and then I think we can go to the next level. Yeah. I don't know, lately work's been so exhausting. I really just, I wish I could take a vacation. But I live in America. There's no such thing as vacations. I can't afford that. It is the dream, though. I would like to one day take a nice vacation, go somewhere new, relax for once, you know? But, like, I feel like even if I took a vacation, I'd still be really stressed. Because the whole vacation I'd be, like, thinking about how expensive stuff is. Like, oh, I want to eat some good food, but how expensive is this food gonna be? Like, how is it gonna affect my bills when I come home? Like, what about my student loan costs? Like, it would end up just being another stressful event in my life. I don't know. Some days I wish that I could, like, come up with a really, really smart AI program that will just magically make me money. I could sell it, I could be rich, it'd be great. But then, like, the implications of that, the depression associated with the idea of, like, that AI took somebody's job, that AI ruined everyone's lives, that AI was incorrect. Like, that AI said terrible things to teenagers that made them do bad stuff. Like, I don't know, man. I don't want that on my conscience. So instead I'll just continue to work making yucky code and being poor with no with no you know, future idea of what I'm gonna do. Yeah, exactly. I'm doing fine now, but at what cost? Like, where's it gonna go now? What will happen after I come back from my vacation? I'll be happy in the moment. But that's also hard too. It's like future planning in general is really, really difficult. I don't know, like, I remember my parents being like, oh yeah, you need to save for retirement and stuff. And I'm like, how were you able to save for retirement? I can't even afford to get my cavity fixed because of how expensive everything is. Like, there's no saving money. I could starve every day and I feel like I still wouldn't save money. Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely insanity. And, like, I think about, like, the minimum wage rates and stuff like that. How are people even able to survive a day-to-day basis? But then also I remember when I was in college, I had like 3 jobs. So, like, you know, I was surviving off of working 3 jobs and no sleep, but I was a lot younger then. And so, like, my body was, I wouldn't say it was able to handle it, but, you know, it did a little bit better than I would do now. But, like, you shouldn't have to have 3 jobs to be able to do anything. You shouldn't have to live like that. I don't know. I look at, like, a lot of the European countries and how they do things. Their, you know, maternity leave. Ooh, paternity leave. Oh, absolutely insane. Like, people don't get paternity leave. What? Like, medical leave because you're dying? That's crazy. Like, I had a friend that had to work all through their chemo because they couldn't take time off of work. Like, that's stupid. Their company would only give them unpaid time off, and if they were out for more than a certain number of days, they would fire them. So they had no choice in order to keep their job. That's fucked up. That's absolutely deplorable. Like, I don't know, man. It's really, really sad. But, like, when my daughter was in the hospital for 3 months after her birth, like, I was working from the hospital. The nurses, like, would feel really bad because I would be in her hospital room. I'd be, like, whispering on a call so as to not wake her up. She'd be, like, laying in my lap while I'm typing up my code. Like, I look back at it now and I'm just horrified. And, like, I did what I had to do because we needed the money to be able to pay her medical bills. I joke still that she's $1 million baby, but it's not much of a joke when it's true, that her medical costs have, you know, reached over $1 million. And that's insane to me. Like, how long would it take anyone to pay $1 million in medical bills? I really want this big box, but I do not have enough money. I'll just wait until a monster appears. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy. I don't know how I want to say I don't know how it could get worse, but then I look at the news and I look outside my window and I say, "Oh, that's how." which also sucks. I don't know, man. Like, I've said it before on my streams, but there's this this idea of like how previous jobs used to be, like historically, that like you were much more almost like a family at your job. They actually cared about your well-being. They would like have a birthday party for you. Like you were well acquainted and friends with your coworkers, and like you all got paid a fair wage. You weren't expected to work like a billion times a billion times of after hours unpaid labor. Like, but now it's almost like that's used in a negative, toxic way, where companies are like, "Oh, but we're family, so you should do these things for free because otherwise we'll fire you." And it's like, you aren't really given much of a choice. It's like survive and suffer, or, you know, be happy for a short period of time and die. Which is really fucked up. And like, I don't know, the way that we treat impoverished people who are suffering is absolute dog shit. Because it's like, any of us could be that. Any of us will be that, you know, the second we lose our job for whatever reason. I think I want this one. Yeah, it is by design, work or starve. And I can't remember where it was. I was watching something where someone was talking about that there, and it may be not true, which is fine, but there was like a society where they didn't know about technology, and at some point like some scientist went there and like interacted with them and was like, you know, researching them, and they were all very interested in each other, and the scientist was very interested in their society and how they cared for each other, and he ended up like bringing them to visit his home in London, and they were like very excited about like the meat vendor. Ooh, you could just purchase meat and not have to like hunt. You don't have to worry about like not being able to get anything for the winter. Like, that's amazing. But then everything else, they were like, this is fucking stupid. They're like staying at home with the man's wife, and they're like, "Where do you go every day?" And he's like, "Oh, I go to my job." And they're like, "What? Why wouldn't you want to spend time with your family?" And he's like, "Well, I need money to do that." And they're like, "Wait, but okay, so you need money to be able to spend time with your family, but in order to make money, you have to work, which means that you're away from your family? That seems fucked up. Doesn't that mean you never get to spend time with your family, even though you're working to make them happy and make sure they survive?" Like, in our community, like, if somebody needs a house, we just all get together for a week, build them a house, and then they're good to go. Like, what do you mean? You do this crazy shit. We would like to go home, please, sir. And, like, that's the sort of vibe that I get from our society, is it doesn't make any sense. Everything is set up in a way where it just sort of fucks you, unless you're really well off and, you know, you're able to avoid the fucking, which, you know, doesn't apply to the majority of us. We're all fucked. And then even, I don't know. So this is like a side tangent of societal standards and pressures and function and how it's designed. The concept of obesity and the nature of being overweight I find very interesting, because if we look at, like, you know, most countries, it's very common to be like, it's because America. It's because everyone in America eats cheeseburgers. And, like, it's not wrong. That's true. I do like myself a cheeseburger. I do indulge in some cheeseburger. But if you look at our food standards and food safety and all of our food regulations, our development and processing of food is sort of set up in a way of where we purposefully make food addictive and tasty in order to force people to purchase more of it because they enjoy it so much. and then we tell them that they're bad for gaining weight from the unhealthy food that we are feeding them, that they're becoming addicted to, and then in turn we provide them workout options and things to then charge them for, to say, oh, well, you know, you're fat because you don't do enough, because you're lazy. It couldn't possibly be because the food is making you fat and it's really unhealthy. But if you try to buy healthy food, it costs 3 times the price of unhealthy food. So you're kind of left with no choice but to eat the unhealthy food if you want to be able to survive, because, you know, everything is expensive. So, you know, do that, but then the whole time I'm going to treat you like shit. And then don't even get me started with how that goes into, like, transitions into medical care and health. Ooh, hell, girl, like, nah, this world is fucked. The idea that our medical care is so intent on, first of all, blaming everything on weight, because I don't necessarily think that's the case in all cases. It's sort of the easy way out. But on top of it, there's the idea of pre-existing conditions. For a while was like a big part of like why insurances wouldn't cover like diabetes medications and things like that, is because they were like, nah, but it's a pre-existing condition. You had it before you got our insurance. Well, yeah, because I have to get new insurance every year. So like, are you saying once I'm diagnosed, I'm fucked? Like, what do you mean? And just the fact that certain medications are so absurdly priced. I mean, again, referring to diabetes, insulin is fucking crazy. It's like, you need this to live and be alive, but you have to pay a fortune to get it. Okay, well, that's fine. You can have insurance. You can get health insurance. Then the health insurance will pay for it. Oh, you mean you want health insurance for free? You want to be taken care of? No. You pay for the health insurance. Oh, so you're saying the cost of the health insurance is close to the same cost of the diabetes medication itself? Yeah, but health insurance gives you a bunch of other stuff too. What other stuff? Oh, depression. No, but you know what I mean. It's always like a constant fight for anything that can help you. Like, it's okay, you want your mental health to be better, you want to be less depressed? Okay, we'll get a therapist or a psychiatrist. Okay, well, you know, you have to make sure they're licensed, and then you have to make sure they're covered by your insurance, and then it's a 8-month wait before you can actually get in for an appointment. You finally get in for an appointment, and then your, you know, the person you had originally signed up to see is now moving clinics because their clinic doesn't pay them enough. So now you have to start the process over because the psychiatrist is no longer available. Or even worse, you do the misunderstanding of not, you know, acknowledging or knowing the difference between psychiatrists, psychologists, and therapists, and you make an appointment with the incorrect one who actually can't help you. But we're not educated to know the names and what types of doctors they are, so like, we don't know until we've already waited the, you know, 6 months to get the appointment, and then we get there and we're just fucked. Oh yeah, privatized insurance is 100% a scam. I don't know. I think it all is really shitty. It's all super shitty. And it makes me sad because I've experienced a lot of the suffering associated with not being able to get needed medical care. Being mistreated because of a medical condition. And then once you figure out what medical condition you have and you find out that it can be fixed with medical care, like actual medications and proper care, you then are told that you can't afford the care. So you just have to live with the pain and suffering. Like, those are the options. I thought for a long time that just knowing what was wrong with you would be amazing. It would be the fix. It would give you all the answers you need. Because I had chronic medical problems for such a long time that they couldn't figure out the specific cause. And so for years, I was in agonizing pain constantly. My joints hurt. I sometimes would have trouble walking. And I would get doctors telling me I was faking it. I would be told it was a psychiatric issue, that I was just delusional. I was told it was because I was a woman who was having a period. Like, I was told all kinds of shit. And then we found out when I was, I don't know, 22, 23, that it was an autoimmune disease that I had had my whole life. And that it turns out my mom has it too. And that it's hereditary. Who knew? Who would have fucking thunk? Wow. You mean I didn't make up all that agonizing pain? You mean I wasn't lying when I couldn't walk? Wow, who would have thought? It's awful. The amount of suffering I experienced because of the lack of medical care, and so I thought that once we knew what it was, that would be it. You know? I knew the problem. We could fix it now. We could do what we needed to take care of it. Like we've figured it out. Like, we know the answer. But it's not that simple. And it's not that straightforward. And it didn't fix everything immediately like I was hoping it would. You know, they were like, we can put you on medication, but also we haven't actually researched your autoimmune disease very much. So, like, we don't fully actually know, like, everything about it. We don't know what will help it. We don't know what will be bad for it. We don't know, you know, anything we can really do. We could give you this medication, but, you know, it's also a thing where they're like, do you need this though? But if you're not experiencing symptoms, you might not need the medication. Okay, well, I have all these problems. Are these related? Well, we don't know. Okay. So what now? Can I just try the medication and see if it helps? Like, if I hurt less? Well, no, we don't do it like that. Your insurance won't approve it unless you have a specific, like, document showing that it will definitely 100% help. Well, fuck, man. What am I supposed to do? You know, I'm, like, trapped in a corner. Not knowing what to do, not able to do anything. And then I have to pay out of pocket to try this new medication. And guess what? The medication helps. It works great. My joints hurt less. I'm able to walk around for long periods of time, which allows me to exercise and be more active, which means my overall health gets better. Like, wow, amazing. It costs me so much fucking money that I am drowning in debt. But it's fine. Because that just means you could work 2 jobs now because you physically feel better and then you'll be able to pay your bills, right? Man. It's stupid. Yeah, it's definitely rough. And like I'm not even the worst. Like, there's definitely people out there who have had it worse, who have dealt with worse medical problems. I cannot count on one hand the number of times I've heard stories about people being undiagnosed when they had cancer because of whatever reasons, whether their insurance didn't want to cover the testing, or their doctor didn't believe them, or whatever, or their doctor specifically, you know, prescribed them X medication because the insurance company gives them a bit of money every time they prescribe it. Like, you know, all that shit. It's disgusting. It's literally foul how our world currently functions and is designed, and how it essentially kills people. Like, there were people losing their lives because of how this world is. And that's really sad. It's disappointing. I joke around a lot because I'm like, oh, I hate people, but honestly, I really love people. I love meeting new people. I love interacting with people. I have, you know, tons of friends from all over the country, all over the world. Like, I enjoy the company of people. And I think what drives me nuts is, like, the people that I meet are all really good, really nice people. Like, they're people who deserve happiness, care, and love. And, like, it's so hard to think that, like, if all of the people I knew could somehow get together and change things, then we could all be happy. But, like, we don't necessarily fully have the power to do that. And I wish that protests were more successful and could make bigger changes. But we all know money talks. And so the rich will always be the deciding factor. And I think that's, like, the part that really sucks. Like, I know my situation is shit, but I think the the part that I hate the most is looking at my friends who I love so dearly suffering for the same reasons I'm suffering and not being able to change anything about it. Just being stuck. Yeah, exactly. We're kind of at a point where, like, everyone needs to, like, simultaneously agree to be like, fuck this, and fight against it. And, like, I do feel like we're trying really hard, but it's, you know, it's hard. I appreciate everyone who's, like, protested or fought against, you know, any of these horrible opinions. Every time I hear, like... Oh, I fell in a wall. No! Every time I hear, like, a crazy person be like, no, but we're doing this because it's the right thing. God believes, and I'm just like, yes, because God wanted us to focus solely on money and, like, forget the fact that we have, you know, people who are suffering. Like, he wants us to, like, kick people out of the country and steal children from their families and shoot people in the streets because that's... You know, that's what God would have wanted. I don't know. I find it so fucking delusional. But, you know, it's hard. I live in, like, a very rural place without a lot of people. And I think it's amazing because every weekend there's a group of old people from a church nearby that actually go and stand on the street corner in, like, the center of town with, like, pride flags and signs and all these things, like, you know, fighting against all this bullshit. And they're from a church. And it's like, that's how it should be, that they understand and they care about people and they want to, like, turn things around. I don't know, everything's become so cult-like. I think that's what gets me the most, is, like, we look at, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of some cults right now and I can't think of the name of any of cults, but, like, you know, we look at all the famous cults, the drink the Kool-Aid cults, and we're like, that's crazy, who would do that? Bitch, every day you people are drinking the Kool-Aid, what do you mean? Like, you're literally doing that. Like, that thing that you just said was crazy, I saw you do that last week. And I think that's where I'm like, what is wrong with people? Why do they have their eyes closed like this? Like, why? It's that idea of, like, oh, it would never happen to me. Oh, it's different for me. Yeah, I don't know. I can't subscribe to that. It's stupid. I think everyone runs into the same problems in life, and it sucks. And I think some people approach it with kindness and love and, like, hoping that things will get better, but other people just approach it with hate and I don't know. I've said it before, I don't like guns. I don't like our approach to handling laws around, like, racism, again, firearms, like, I don't know, all the hot topic picks, school shootings, like, all those things. Like, the way we've handled some shit is so crazy to me. Like, I don't know how we can have the argument of, no, that person shouldn't have had a gun at a protest. But then in the same breath, we say, oh, well, people, we can't take guns away from people even if they did shoot up a school. Like, what do you mean? Like, we're just ignoring the problem. Like, yeah, exactly. The way we haven't handled any of them. We're just, it feels like we realize, we all acknowledge it's a problem. We're all like, yeah, school shooting's bad. And then we just walk away. That's it. Like, that's it. And it's like, yeah, but your words didn't change anything. It'll happen again in a week, in a day. You know? They're so common now that they're hardly even on the news sometimes. I remember, like, the very first time I heard about a school shooting. I remember the first time I heard about a school shooting that was at a school that I had gone to. Isn't that crazy? That I can look at TV, I can see the recordings of the police going into a school trying to save kids while somebody is shooting, and I can say, I've been in that hallway. I had a class in that classroom. Well, sucks for those kids. I'm gonna go over here and go back to work. Like, what? I don't know. There's this layer of removal from problems that, like, I feel like people just compartmentalize in a way where they just say, oh, well, that's unrelated to me. No, we can't do it. That doesn't matter to me because it's not directly impacting me as a person. No, that would never happen to me. No, but I'm different. I would never use a gun to do that, so I should have a right to have a gun. Well, okay, yeah, it's true that you would never do that, sure, or whatever, you know? But somebody will. And which is better, to just prevent anyone from doing it, or to just say, we're just gonna ignore it because, you know, we don't think it'll happen again. I don't think it'll be a problem. It's probably fine. I don't know. That's crazy. That's absolute blasphemy to me. Insanity. I don't know how anyone can, like, look at a school shooting, look at their own children, and say, they'll be fine, they'll be safe, and send them to school. Whoops. Almost fell to my death. Damn it, I was meaning to hold onto that so that I would not die in this case. Well, fuck. Ah. Oh, fuck me! There it is. Okay. Dang, dang, dang. Come on, go past her. Ooh, girl. Thought I was gonna eat shit and die there. You wrecked. But yeah, I don't know. It's... Now that I have a kid too, it's even harder. Because, like, I look at the world and I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, honestly, what am I supposed to do? I don't know that I'm okay sending my daughter to school. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. That I feel like I can't even trust sending my daughter to school. I'm scared to, like, take her to, like, the grocery store, like, to go out shopping, because, like, you know, anything can happen anywhere. But, like, the fear of sending her to school is big. How do I know a school shooting won't happen at the school she's at? How do I know that she'll be okay? I can't protect her if she's there. Why is it that these people can't look at their own children and say the same thing? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. It's because their children are the school shooters. My mistake. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean. It's hard. It's hard to look at the world today. I feel terrified every single day of what could happen, what will happen, where things are gonna go now. Who's next? Who's gonna shoot who now? You know? I don't know. It's sad. It's really sad and terrifying. I wish that things could be better. But at the same time, like, I think better is a hard thing to define too. Because for some people, better is everyone has a gun so they can protect themselves. It's the Wild West again. But for others, it's, I don't need a gun because I don't have to worry about somebody shooting me in my classroom. Like, the concept of teachers having guns was fucking madness when I heard it the first time. I was like, you want to hand your teachers a gun to protect the students? Like, what? I don't know, my teacher was a bitch. I don't think I'd trust her with a weapon. Like, I feel like she'd be more likely to use it on me than a rando, you know? But no, like, really, it's kind of crazy to look at how everything is. I have such a hard time watching the news nowadays because, like, I do feel like it's hard to just acknowledge what's real. In a way, like, obviously I know what's real and what's not. I'm not like fully like out there, but you know what I mean. It's the idea of like looking at the news and saying we're actually living this. It's not just a comic book. It's not just a joke about what could happen. Like we are living in a hellscape. And you know, winds are gonna change. I mean, I know my job sucks, but like, I've already been laid off from jobs recently just because of their plan to move to AI. Their plan to strictly hire cheap overseas labor so that they can then fire them later on. Like, those things wouldn't be different if there was one less Mexican American in the United States. You know? Like, that would not change my situation or the companies that have laid me off. You know, it wouldn't have. Hell, even if the companies had more money to pay me, it wouldn't change anything. Because they want that money for themselves, not for paying their employees more. Yeah, those tactics will come back to bite them for sure. Who was it? Which company was it? The big company that recently like had like a full thing where their CEO was like, we made a big whoopsie laying off those 4,000 people to replace them with computers. It might have been Salesforce, it might have been something else, I can't remember for sure. But I just remember like reading the article of where the guy was like, I didn't realize that like AI was so bad. I didn't realize that people were dying because they were talking to AI chatbots who told them to kill themselves. Like, I didn't realize all these things were happening. And it's like, oh, okay, so you just had your head in the sand and you were making believe that you didn't realize these things. You knew these things. You had to have known these things when you made the decision to move forward and lay off 4,000 people who had families and lives and medical bills and school loans that they had to pay off that had nothing. And then you laid them off and you replaced them with a computer, and then you realized you didn't program the computer to actually do those people's jobs. So now you're fucked because you can't just get those people back and have them fix the computer, because then they know that you're going to replace them with that computer. Ooh, man. The rage I have in my body. Ooh. No, but honestly, it sucks. There's no job that's stable right now. There's no stability in any way, shape, or form. There's not even the ability to like trust or rely on your employer to like not fire you for whatever reason. Hell, I was very confused even just yesterday. We had a ticket come in from this person asking us to update this specific template. Cool, no problem. We got it, you know? We go to update the template, we have a question, we send her an email, and she's been laid off. Okay. Well, that happened out of the blue. It was the middle of the afternoon. It was completely unnoticed, and like they didn't even send us a request to like turn off her user or anything like that. They just let her go and didn't say anything. You know, and like why? You know, it's true, she might have done something wrong. She might have been bad at her job. She might have been stealing from the company. There's plenty of reasons to lay someone off or to let someone go. But, like, I think it's much harder nowadays because the reasons are not the same as what they may have been in the past. The idea of a PIP, what is it called? I can't remember what PIP stands for. What does PIP stand for? Google. PIP stands for Performance Improvement Plan, which is a lie. They're not a performance improvement plan. They're a preparation to fire someone. I think that out of the majority of the companies I've worked for, only one of them ever used PIP plans properly. A PIP is meant to give an employee time to basically fix their reputation and their ability to do their job. If they're failing repeatedly, the PIP is supposed to be like, hey, you know, let's do these things to try and get you better. Let's do these things to try and get you better at your job or teach you the correct methods where you were previously failing. But nowadays, what a PIP is the legal backing to fire someone. It's the ability to say, yeah, we tried to give them a second chance. It is not in any way actually meant to get somebody to do a better job. And I think that's shit too, because like sometimes, I don't know, I feel like at some of the companies I've worked at, it's been this thing where like, you think you're doing a good job. You're getting your work done. Everyone seems happy with your work. Everything's going great. And you think you're doing a good job. But then like, somehow it turns out that you're not, and they're firing you. And it's like, what fucking happened? It feels like it came out of left field. You had no awareness that it was going to happen. Just absolute blindside. Yeah, these jobs need unions, yeah. You're telling me. But that's the other thing is companies constantly are like fighting against their employees getting unionized. It's like, nope, don't fucking go near that guy. I feel like it's one of the biggest things that companies do is they're just like, oh, they want unionized. We gotta like trick them into thinking that being in a union is bad. Because that's something I see a lot, is that like companies try to trick their employees into thinking that a union will negatively impact them. And people believe it because they don't know any better, because they're uneducated on these things. I mean, think about it. Like, when did you first learn about unions? Who taught you? What did they tell you? Was it in school? Was it at your first job? Were you told by your employer? Like, were you told by a friend? Like, how did you learn about it? Because, like, when I think about how I learned about unions, the first time I learned about it was at my third job. And it was literally a video that they show you to tell you about how bad unions are and how they cause problems and how you definitely should not unionize. And it explained the issues that would occur if you joined a union and how it would impact your job. And so it was like a brainwashing thing where they were like, no, trust us. It's bad for you. It definitely won't help you in any way. It definitely will not be good. I had never heard of them when I was in school. We had never discussed them at my other two jobs. And then out of all the jobs I've worked, none of them have actually had a union. It would all be, you know, if I wanted to join a union, it would all require me to like do the groundwork and help get it figured out. So it's like, you know, just unlikely to succeed. Oh shit, which one do I want? I'm gonna get this one. But I don't know. It sucks. There are plenty of things that like we could do to make things easier too, but I think it's hard because I don't know. I know that my job is gonna lay me off at some point. So like, why would I put in the effort to make the job better for other people in the future? Like, that sounds like a real selfish dick thing, but like, I don't know. The world is definitely like, take care of yourself and only yourself at this point in time. Like, we don't have the ability to like mentally say, hey, maybe we should care about other people and how they're doing. The fear of like losing your job, or the fear of retaliation, the fear of you trying to do something good that has the opposite effect on you is real. It's there. Like, I don't know. I remember one of my jobs, it was like, there was this one person there that they all just sort of avoided. because they knew that they weren't doing a very good job, but they thought that if they helped this person, then they would get less shifts at work, and so they'd get paid less. But that because this person was a fuck up, that they would get paid more because we didn't want him on any shifts. And like, yeah, okay, it is true that if they're bad and they don't get scheduled as often, that means there's more chance for you to be scheduled, but like, they're not a bad person, and it's not like they're trying to do a bad job on purpose. They're just having trouble understanding. So like, why... I don't know, why do you have to treat them so bad? Like, why... I don't know. You're standing on someone else's head to get ahead. You're standing on someone else to push them down so that you can be at the top. I think that's gross. I think it's awful. I hate the concept of that. I know that, like, it was something that my dad tried to teach me growing up, and I always really fucking rejected. Because I was like, I'm not going to crush someone else so that I can get what they have. I don't want to take things from others. I want to gain them on my own in a respectable, fair way. Like, it doesn't make sense to me to, like, put my success, to make it so that my success requires somebody else's downfall. I don't know. I don't know if that makes me a good person or a bad person or what, but like I don't think that like that sort of treatment of people is good. I don't know. I like teaching people stuff. I like helping people grow. I like helping, like, showing people stuff. So like I've always been much more of the mind of like, oh, I could show them how to do it. I can teach them. We could work on it together. We could be friends. You know, me helping them will be fun. So, like, it's never been something that I've been like, oh, they're doing a bad job. Let me use that to my advantage to then, like, steal from them. Steal what they could have so that I have more. Like, what? No. No, that's terrible. Oops, I didn't actually pick that item up. Okay, we'll come back. Let's see if there's anything else, though. I don't know. Oh, I did pick that item up. I don't know. Whatever. I feel like I just wish we could have like a universal happiness, like a universal successfulness. Like everyone has a job that they don't like absolutely despise and doesn't make them want to kill themselves. Like they can go home every day and have some free time to themselves. They can have hobbies and enjoyment in life and not have to like focus everything on just surviving. Because I think that's something that I experienced for a long time too, is that like I wasn't able to have free time because everything went into surviving and making it to the next day. I don't remember where I saw that teleporter. Oh, it's over there. Okay. So like, I don't know. I remember the first time I had like some free time again, that I was so happy at the idea of like being able to just do stuff I wanted to. Because, like, I don't know, I always thought you become an adult and then you have time to do stuff you want to. You have money and you can do anything you want. You could buy things that you want. You'll suddenly be happy becoming an adult. But, like, then I became an adult and I was like, oh, fuck, responsibilities, ah! And I got fucked. I got absolutely wrecked. I had my student loans. I barely had a place to live. The place I was living was just, it was very expensive. It was a 1-bedroom apartment, which, I mean, honestly was pretty good for the area. It was a 1-bedroom apartment with, a kitchen and a tiny living room. It was fine. I had, like, no furniture. For the longest time, I would sit on the floor and eat on top of a box. Like just a cardboard box, a cardboard moving box, because that was what I had. You know, and like my rent was like $800, $900 a month. And like that's honestly a pretty good deal compared to rent now. Because rent now is like $2,000 a month for the same place. But, you know, at the same time, yeah, it shouldn't be this way. I was going to school, I had 3 jobs, and I barely spent any time at home. So it was like, I'm paying for this place just to sleep here every once in a while. And like, that makes it seem like, why even do this? Like, it's absolute shit. I understand why people live in their cars. I understand why people, like, I know there was an item somewhere, an orange item somewhere that I left. Oh, it was over here, I remember. But like, I understand now why people are like, oh, well, I can just stay at a hotel instead, because like, it really is that I was barely at home, and I spent the majority of my time at school, at work, and just bouncing between the two. I was working, let's see, gosh, it was all retail jobs, and I would work in the morning. I would work a different job in the afternoon. I had evening to night classes. Then I'd work a late night job for a couple hours before I would finally go back to my apartment, sleep for maybe like 4-ish hours if I was lucky on a good day, and then I'd do it again. And like, I don't know, man. That's pretty rough on your body. It's pretty taxing on a person. And I just remember being so exhausted. I would get sick really easily. I just was so horribly depressed. It just felt like I was tricked. Like I was told that adulthood would be fun. Like it would be nice, and I'd be happy, and I'd be able to have a family, and I'd be able to date, and I'd be able to go to parties, and I'd have a fun college life, and all that. And like, no, it wasn't like that. And then like for me, I also had the extra layer of like, my dad paid for all of my sister's college, my oldest sister's college. And then he paid for my older brother's college, and he paid for my older sister's college. She only went a year because she dropped out. And then when it got to me, he was like, nope. And so I was like, okay, well, can you at least co-sign on a loan? Because like you can't get a student loan without a co-signer in most cases. And he was like, nope. And it was like, okay, so basically I can't go to college. And he was like, how dare you? You're just lazy. And it was like, I don't understand how you don't understand that, like, you can't do something without money. You know? But like, when you look back, I mean, college didn't used to be super expensive compared to how it is now. And then, I don't know, growing up I was always told you wouldn't get a good job unless you had a college degree. And you know how many of my jobs have actually required me to have a college degree? Almost none of them. I think it was like my first few jobs were the real struggles. Because like, since I didn't have a job history, they were like, nope. We don't hire people who don't have experience. Yeah, but it's listed as an entry-level job. Yes. For people with experience. And it's like, what is this delusion that is this world in today's society? Like, none of this makes any sense. And that's exactly what it was, just a fucking delusion. And it's just gotten worse, I don't know. I was already up here, I forgot. I just hope that one day it gets better. I really don't want my daughter to have to go through what I've gone through in life. Oh fuck, I fell off. I don't want her to have to deal with all this shit. I don't want her to have to, you know, deal with college being absurdly expensive. I don't want her to have to deal with the idea that like she won't be able to find a job because of AI and technology advancements. You know, like, I don't see things getting better. I see things getting worse. Actually, I'm gonna do the teleporter so I can get items from it. Yeah, I don't want anyone to go through it, it's true. I like... It makes me so sad, the thought that, like... I don't know. I think it's extra hard because... So, like, as a woman, I was always pressured into having children. I was always told that a woman's worth is in her family, and that if you didn't have kids, you were missing out, and you are unvalued, and that once I had kids, I would understand. I still don't. I think that not everyone should have children. I am happy that I had my daughter. We wanted her. We planned for her. Like, it was, you know, it was something that we had as a goal, but at the same time, I don't think that everyone should have a child. I really do not think that everyone should have a child. I think that most people should not have children. I think that most people, myself included, cannot necessarily afford to have a child. I think that the world is not built for parents to have children right now. Childcare is very expensive. Most daycares have like a 2-year waiting period to even put your child in a daycare. So like, if you have a kid, you can't take time off of work because it's unpaid. The time that you can take off is only a certain amount of time. If you take family leave, you aren't promised your job and it's unpaid. It's all shit. Your kid doesn't automatically get medical care, so like you have to deal with the insurance and everything right after giving birth, which is fucking stupid. Let me tell you, I tried to call the insurance and get everything set up before my daughter was born, and they were like, no, you have to do it after. And I was like, yeah, but I'll be in the hospital because they'll have cut open my stomach. And they're like, sucks, call later. Okay, cool, thanks, wonderful. That's very, very helpful for me and my daughter. My daughter had medical problems, so like we knew that she'd need care immediately upon her birth. So like, it was stupid. It was just all really dumb, and it felt bad. But like, I don't know, like, I work from home. Me and my husband both work from home. And like, when I tell people we work from home and that my daughter's at home with us and we care for her on our own, I know there's one more beacon, but I'm blind. Where is it? There it is. People are like dumbfounded. They're like, you care for your own child from home while working? Oh. And it's like, I know it's a lot, but like, I don't know. I want to be there for my daughter as she grows and learns. I don't want to be a parent who just like throws her in a daycare and never speaks to her. I don't want to be a parent that like specifically only focuses on how I can continue making money because my family won't be happy unless we're well off. Like, that was how my dad was when I was growing up, that he was like, yep, have to focus on money because otherwise, like, we're not a real family unless we're doing well off. It doesn't matter if I treat you poorly or if, you know, we don't ever interact with each other. That's fine as long as I have money. Which, like, I don't know. I don't consider that really family. So it's fine. But I don't know. It makes me so mad that the world right now is so much like, these young people aren't having children and it's a real problem. Why wouldn't they have children? And I'm like looking around and I'm like, bitch, why would you? Do you know how expensive everything is? Like, you know how crazy people are? You know, when my daughter was born, one of the first things they asked me was, are you planning to like do vaccinations and stuff? Like, I don't know. The fact that that was a question is, like, disgusting to me. It's like asking, do you want your daughter to get sick and die? Or do you want to you know, like, do something about it? Like, I don't know. It's crazy to me. I will never not be surprised by the shit I hear people say. Because it's something. It's something for sure. It's not something I like. I just hope that things will continue to get better. That's all I could say. Because they can't possibly get worse, right? I just don't want it to get worse. I really don't want it to get worse. Please don't get worse. I just don't know, like, what am I gonna do with my daughter once she's a little bit older? Like, am I gonna put her in daycare? Am I gonna send her to school? Am I gonna try to do homeschooling? Like, I don't know. That's the other thing, is some people are like, oh no, I homeschool my child. But what that actually means is I'm doing like unschooling or no schooling. Like, that's the thing that they're doing now. And I'm like, what is fucking wrong with people? Like, I didn't think we wanted to make people stupider. I thought we wanted to make them smarter. But then I look at like politics and I'm like, oh, they wanted to make us stupider so that we'd fuck up more. I see, I see. Everything makes sense now. We wanted to make it easier to brainwash people. And in order to do that, we have to trick them into thinking that unschooling themselves is good. Ooh. Fucking crazy. I don't know, man. It's something. The one thing I can say is at least I have the happiness that is my games, because I do quite enjoy being able to relax sometimes and just kind of mindlessly play a game and just not have to worry about the outside world. I feel like my life is very overwhelmed with the feeling of worry and concern. You know, like, what's gonna happen next? Are my friends okay? Is this gonna happen here? You know, like, I live in New England and they're talking about, like, the Boston mayor just, like, put in, like, an order to block ICE from building a facility here or something like that. Like, I don't know. It's scary. Are we the next, like, Michigan? Like, are we the next, like, place that gets treated like shit? Like, I'm scared. And I don't know how anyone could not be scared. Because the whole world is terrifying right now. I don't even know what to do sometimes with that, like, anxiety and fear. Sometimes I'll just, like, feel like running away from everything. I've thought about, like, maybe I just want to, like, move to a different country. I know that, like, I've seen some posts with people who have moved to different countries recently. And, like, they got a lot of shit for it. Where people are like, oh, you're just gonna run away? And it's like, well, maybe that's the safest option in some cases. Like, obviously nobody wants to, like, fully just drop everything and leave. And, like, it's not easy to move to another country. Like, it's a huge fucking process that takes forever and is, like, a real pain in the ass. Like, it's a thing. But, like, which is better? You know? I don't know. I really, really don't know. I would love to stay here forever. I like where I live. I'm happy here. But if everything crumbles around you, you know, it's like, what do you do? I don't know. I would really love to move to the Netherlands. That's where some of my friends are from. It seems really beautiful there. But, like, realistically, it would be hard. It's not an easy country to emigrate to. Migrate? Emigrate? I don't remember the correct terminology, sorry. I'm not a smart bean. But, you know, on top of that, I would have to be even further away from my family than I am now. I would be on the outside looking in, so I wouldn't be able to make any difference. I wouldn't be able to, like, see anyone. I don't know. Like, the best way I can explain it is, like, I think about when the Jewish were hiding in people's homes to be able to escape, or even slaves. Slaves were hiding in people's homes to be able to escape. And these people were protecting them and hiding them to make sure that they could, you know, get across the railroad or whatever, wherever they needed to go. And I would like to be that person for my friends where I could be a safe space for them to go in the case that they had nowhere else to go. But I don't know if I want to put my personal family at risk for that. So it's hard to like think about the future. Because are we going to get to the point where that's what we have to do? Like, are we gonna get to the point where like all we can do is run away? I don't know. It's just sad looking at it. I wish things could be different. I wish things could be better and easier. I wish that everyone could make a living wage. I wish that we didn't have to worry about school shootings or, you know, dangerous situations like that. I wish a lot of things were different. I would love to be able to protect everyone that I find important. I would love to be able to protect people I don't find important. I feel like they should be safe and happy just as much as the people I love. But it seems like other people want those people to be unhappy. Like, that's their preferred. Which is weird to me. I don't know. I was born in the US. I am a citizen, of course. But, you know, my mom's side of the family came here from Cuba. My grandmother and grandfather came over from Cuba. On my dad's side, a couple more generations back than my mom's, they came from Germany. You know? And if all of us look at our history, we'll find somebody coming from somewhere in most cases. So, like, we were them back then. I don't know. Makes me sad. Well, you know, we'll all do what we can to make a difference, but we can only do so much to change things. Okay, this level always gets me. I'm not very familiar with this one, so I forget where everything's located, and I end up going in, like, lots of circles, so... Whoops. Maybe over here? I don't know. I wish I was rich and I could just fix all my problems with money. You know, the normal. No, I honestly, sometimes I wonder how I would act if I was rich. I kind of feel like I would probably just like pay off my loans and stuff, and then I would just keep working and just survive. I don't know, like, I don't know that I would really change much about my lifestyle. I think it might be harder, actually, because I think I might have, like, even more fear of losing what I had gained. Whereas right now I don't even have that thing to be able to lose it. So, I don't know, just something to think about sometimes. Is, like, how would things be different if you were rich? If you did have money? Would you be a different person? Would you treat people differently? What would you use your money for? I think it's hard too, because I'd also want to help my friends. But like, how would that work? You know, it's like when people win the lottery that it's like all of a sudden everyone comes out of the woodwork and is like, oh, I need this, I need this. And you end up like losing everything because you too quickly spend it on everyone else. I guess I wonder if it's kind of like that. Like if you have to not trust people or not believe in people to not be the worst version of themselves, to be able to help them. I don't know. I feel like that made more sense in my head than it did when I said it out loud, but like, would it be a thing where I'd like give everyone a certain amount to put into like a a CD to then build up interest over a certain amount of time, then I'd be like, well, your CD hasn't finished yet, so don't ask me for anything. I don't know. I really don't know. I would like to hope that I would not become the scumbag that most, like, rich people are. That they like, strictly care about their, like, their lives, their importance, their needs. And they treat everyone else like sand under their feet, you know? Nice, nice, nice. Which one should we go in? I'm still only got 28 for the spikes. I need more to be able to get that, that loadout, so we're gonna keep going. I think it was 40. I think it had to be 40 to get the loadout upgrade. So we'll keep going until we get 40. Yeah, I don't know. I hope that things just continue to get better instead of worse. That's what I'll say. I would like everyone to be happy in the world. And I would like everyone to be able to eat good food. I really would like it if we adjusted our food standards to make things more healthy, but at a normal cost, instead of making healthy food so fucking expensive. Because there's like a lot of healthy food that I actually really like that I just can't eat because it's too expensive. And I would prefer to be healthy rather than unhealthy, but the expense is what puts me off. Because I'm a poor girl living in a poor world. Yeah, I don't sing, so, you know. Probably for the better that I don't do that again. I don't know. I'm like terrified that when the next elections happen, that like things will just go bad. I don't know. It's hard because like I look at this previous set of elections for the president and I'm like, what fucking happened? How did we let this happen again? So I don't know. It's also one of those things where it's like, am I the crazy person? But it's fine. It's totally fine. Okay, I'm kicking ass. I think I've got 42 for my charge thing now. I feel like I might have gotten the other one with the boss too, so maybe I got the loadout thing. So we'll try to aim for an exit soon. Maybe obliterate. You know what else I'd like to do? I'd like to do a lot of funding for vet care. If I was rich, I feel like that's something I would definitely invest in. Because, like, I remember, like, the difficulty when I was younger of, like, having... my parents having no choice in what to do for our dog's care. Because we couldn't afford to, like, give them medical care. Or, like, let me think of, like, a good example. So, like, when we think about medical research, we obviously think about cancer research, things like that. There are a lot of, like, advancements in human medical research. There's a lot of places doing human medical research, but there aren't a lot of places doing pet care medical research. Like, there are hospitals that do research studies and things like that. Like, I know Tufts is an animal hospital near, well, I say near, but it's within 2 states of me. And they do research studies on dogs' medical care and things like that. So they do extended studies where they'll pay for all the medical care, or like all the big stuff, and then they'll use that research for future dog care. I feel like pet care is kind of forgotten about a lot of the time. But at the same time, we still consider dogs and cats to be like our #1 companions. But we don't care for them in the same way as we care for humans. And I think that the research into, you know, veterinary medicine and veterinary assistance for medical conditions with dogs and cats can lead to advancements in human medical assistance and care. You know, we're talking like it's not uncommon for cats to have diabetes. Things like that, like, overlap with medical issues that humans have. So, like, I don't know, I feel like researching both will help both. But right now we just kind of only focus on one. I think I'm gonna go with this. And I don't know, I feel like we should open up the door to research studies with other species and other topics. You know, it's like the immunodeficiency research. It's been, you know, a lot more popular recently because of Iron Mouse and everything. Iron Mouse and Connor I wouldn't say advertising it, that's not correct, supporting it. So they've gotten a lot more as far as money to do research and studies on it. And I feel like that will help make a lot of advancements in the fields. But I feel like we focus on specific medical conditions so much that we kind of lose sight of other things that happen. There's the issue of, like, commonality too. So, like, if we think about it, cancer is pretty common overall. Like, most people are expected to get cancer at least once. Like, as awful as that is, it's just a realistic fact. Whereas if we look at, you know, rarer medical conditions, my autoimmune disease, it's got a much smaller percentage of people affected by it, and the impact of it is less deadly. So it's something that's kind of put on the back burner when it comes to research, because the thought is, well, we should be focusing our research on things that are more deadly and more of an immediate impact, which I don't disagree with. But I do think that there should be a little bit more research done in other subjects as well. I don't think we should put all of our eggs in one basket. I think that the idea of researching multiple fields is very important, because a lot of the time we find that things that we didn't believe were connected are actually connected. So in researching, you know, autoimmune diseases, we may find that the genes that you have when you have an autoimmune disease increase your risks for cancer. So then we can do more studies to figure out what in that gene is causing the problem. Why is that specific gene do these things? So, like, I don't know. It's just something I've thought about a lot before in the past. One of my dogs a couple years back had cancer, and we were regularly driving the, like, 1.5 to 2 hours to the Tufts University veterinary college to do research studies for her cancer, knowing that it wasn't going to save her, but the idea was that that research may help someone else in the future, whether it's a person or an animal. Those advancements are really important, and, you know, it's better to just do it even though it won't fix anything. I know it's not going to make her better or cure her, but later on it might cure someone else. And it might extend her life for a short period of time. And as long as she's not suffering, like, knowledge is power, you know? And the more knowledge we have, the more we can prepare for the future in the best way possible. And that's just the way that I like to think of it, is that everything that we do is an attempt to do things better than we did before, you know? Whether it's medical care or knowledge as far as, like, employment knowledge, union knowledge, all of those things are things that those advancements and that spreading of information helps us to be better in one way or another. So, I don't know. I find education and knowledge to be very important. I did a lot of reading when I was younger. Not because I was good at it, but because I really liked being able to learn things that I wasn't taught. I don't know, it's kind of like when you look at schooling nowadays, that like there are a lot of schools in the United States that don't teach sexual education, which that's crazy to me. Like, how do you how do you not teach one of the most important subjects? Like, we want to make sure that like people aren't making choices that they don't know the full impact of those choices. But if they're never learning, then they'll never know until it happens. But that same factor applies to many other things. You know, if you don't learn budgeting, then you won't realize that budgets are super important and helpful until all of a sudden you have no money because you accidentally spent it all and you didn't realize how to save it. You didn't realize that it was important to budget budget and acknowledge the value in items. I don't know, I'm pretty terrible at budgeting, so that's kind of probably a terrible example, but you know what I mean. It's the thought that if you don't know, you can't fix things. If you don't know, you can't do it better. If you don't know, you're kind of stuck living in the same hole and not making any differences, making any choice changes. And I don't like living in a hole, so, you know, I'd like to find out how to build steps, and then maybe I can get a tile floor, and, you know, then I can make that hole a house. But, I don't know. One thing I can say for sure is that, I'm glad that I've worked hard to learn the things that I know. I'm glad that I've put in the effort to research and acknowledge things maybe different than how I initially understood them. That it's okay that I wasn't always told the truth, and that people didn't think that I had the ability to comprehend certain things, because I think that was a hard thing too, is when I was younger, it was the assumption that I was too little to understand. I'll tell you when you're older. But like, that's a really hard mindset to follow as well. I feel like people don't realize that not every child is the same. Not every person is the same. They all develop and grow at different rates as far as like their comprehension of things. And I feel like I was pretty understanding early on to like the way the world works. How things are decided, how things are figured out. And in my case, it had sort of a negative impact just because it led to me asking questions. And then I was around a person who did not like questions being asked or being questioned in any way, because they felt a question was an attack on their person. The question was me questioning their ability to make decisions or their knowledge, when a question is more of me trying to learn and understand the situation and the surrounding factors. I think that if I hadn't learned all the things I learned, I would be in a very different position than I am now. And it would have sucked really bad. I probably would be a very different person, but luckily I very much enjoyed trying to figure out things and, you know, putting in that effort to try and not be dumb. I say try because I feel dumb. Yeah, knowledge is 100% power, and I wish that more people put in the effort to gain knowledge. But I also think it's not something that, like, always comes naturally to everyone. I do think that, like, there are many cases of where people are pushed to not gain knowledge or to be stupid. Like, how do I explain it? I I always think that women are a really good example, because it's very common for men to say, well, you're a woman, you don't understand, or you'll never understand, or whatever bullshit they fucking pulled out their ass. But it was something that, like, growing up, I remember very vividly a male figure in my life telling a female figure in my life that she was not smart enough to be involved in conversations, to be allowed to speak, to decide how to use money, to do any of those things. I constantly heard, just shut up, you talk too much, you don't know anything, you're wrong, just all of those things. And, like, that really beats a person down to where they feel like they are not able to learn, that they must just be stupid, that they must just be uneducated. And it makes it even worse when that person feels that way, because it does allow them to kind of, I want to say, use that as, like, sort of a crutch to, as sort of an excuse as to why they won't try now. Because even if they try, it doesn't matter, they're too dumb. You know? Well, he went to college and I didn't, so, like, it'll never be different. It'll never change. I'll always be who I am right now. I'll always be stupid. I'll always be less than him. I'll always be below him. He makes more money, so he's smarter than me, obviously. That's how things work. And none of that's true. And I think if it weren't for the fact that, like, I put in a lot of effort to learn and figure out how the world works and why the world works the way it does, I might be in that same boat. You know? I would have fallen into that same hell of not being able to feel valued, smart, useful at all. I don't know. Now that I'm an adult, my husband and me make similar amounts of money. There have been times where I've made more money than him. There's been times where he's made more money than me. That doesn't change our value in our relationship or our situation in any way. We're both still important and valued. It doesn't make one of us dumber than the other one. It doesn't change anything. It's a number on a piece of paper, and the way that companies pull that number out of their ass means that it doesn't really have a meaning. It's just a made-up number. And so your worth shouldn't be defined by the amount of money you make, the time frame of when you did schooling, if you finished schooling, how you did in school. I didn't do super great with the majority of my classes because of how I learn. I had a really hard time. But once I taught myself those things outside of how school teaches it, I learned it all very easily. Really fast, very easily, no problems. But because of how school was teaching it, I had a hard time understanding. I tend to use, like, a lot of metaphors when I explain stuff because of that. I think, like, connecting information to something that relates to you helps make it clear on what it is and what's happening. Like, it makes it easier to understand and acknowledge the information. Whereas if you have this complete disconnect from it, you've never heard of it before, you don't know anything about it, you will not be able to understand it. You know, I do programming, but if you're a person who's never done programming, never been around a programmer, don't know anything about programming, and then I throw you in a class about programming and I repeatedly tell you that you're dumb because you're getting bad grades because you don't understand programming, and that makes you not even try because you just have this assumption of, well, I'm too dumb to understand. You know, it doesn't make it easier to feel that way. So yeah, I think it's important to make it something important to yourself. You're not going to learn something that you find boring or stupid. Why would you? It's boring and stupid. People want to use their time for things that they think are important and valued to them. but like things that are important and valued to people differ drastically from one person to the next. You know, I find cute little figurines very important and valuable because I think they're adorable and I like collecting them. But that doesn't mean everyone does, and if somebody came into my house and saw all the shit I have around, they might throw it away because they think that it's not important or useful in any way. They don't understand the value of that item, but they also don't care to learn either because they've already decided it's something that's not important or valuable. So like that's kind of what I mean. Is like if you take the time to learn something, even if you don't like it, I think it changes your perspective on learning and how you approach problems and, you know, stuff like that. I don't know, nerd shit, you know? Get wrecked, Mithrix. Alright, he's gonna eat my ass in a second. Let's see. Man, I had too many items. Yeah, he did. Oh, where am I? Okay. I'm starting to think that I don't actually have enough of the thing, because when he took all my items, I only had 34. So I wonder if I am being tricked. So I'm going to activate the frog shrine, and we'll run another level or two. Maybe. Come on, get down there. Pet the frog, 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 pet the frog. Okay, okay, okay. We're good, we're good. Nice! Okay. I think too, when I was younger, I had a hard time because I was dyslexic, so like it was really hard to read and understand things. And then math was so hard for me because it was easy to like mix up numbers. And I couldn't figure out why they were wrong. Like 5s and 2s? Can't even. 6 and 8 is one that I have a problem with too. 6, 8, and 9 are all problems for me, like just kind of generally. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. Ah! Fucking fell. It sucks. Really killing it. I wonder if there's any achievement for, like, defeating all the bosses. Like, even the hidden bosses, you know? Whoops, fell. Nice, nice, nice! What else can I complain about? Do be like that though. Ta-da! I didn't unlock it. That sucks! I thought I got enough. Oh man. Well, it happens. We did it! Yeah! Okay, guys. We played for an hour longer than I thought I was gonna play today, so that's cool. But my husband made me dinner, so I'm going to call it here. Thank you all for chilling with me. It was very nice having a conversation. I enjoyed it. Hope you guys had fun too. I post all of my VODs on my YouTube, so if you missed the beginning or anything and you want to watch it there, feel free. But yeah, that's it. Thanks all for chilling. It was nice seeing you guys. Goodbye. Love you guys. Bye.